Jai Radha Madhav. Then we'll continue. Notice. So yesterday was it until 14 it was covered, uh, or 15 also covered? Does anyone remembers?
I was not, I don't think, not 15.
Yeah,
Oh, wait.
only one verse, Prabhuji.
Only one verse. Okay, then we could then. Okay. Okay. So where do you live, Kush Prabhu? Am I pronouncing your name properly?
Yeah, I'm in Tampa, by Carrollwood.
Carrollwood. Okay, okay. Yeah, Carrollwood is where Town and Country Boulevard is where Balaram Prabhu lives. Yeah, that is also called Carrollwood, right? Carrollwood is probably, yeah. Okay, let's.
You're going to sing, Prabhuji? Or we'll wait for
Yeah, yes.
Parvati Mataji here.
So, one second. Yeah. So anyone would like to sing devotees? Jai Radha Madhav.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes,
I
Mataji.
Prabhuji.
Sure.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hare Krishna Prabhu, back to you.
You're on mute, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Pashwati Mataji. We'll just start with the pranam mantras, devotees, and then we'll continue today's session. Thank you all for joining today's Bhagavad Gita session. We are starting with verse number 15, Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 13, the nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. So let's start with the pranam mantras. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम्। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। वैराग्यविद्यानिजभक्तियोगं शिक्षाष्टमेकं पुरुषः पुराणं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यशरीरधारी कृपाम्बुतीर्थमहं प्रपद्ये। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं श्रीपरमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we'll start with the verse number 15 today. So let's recite this verse and then we'll start reading the translation. Sarvendriya gunabhyasham sarvendriya vivarjitam ashaktam sarva brukchaiva nirgunam gunabhoktarcha. Yeah, let's see if anyone else would like to recite, devotees.
Hare Krishna Prabhupada, I can try. Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvendriya Vivarchatam Asaktam Sarva Prakshaiva Nirgunam Gunabhoktacha. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can read.
Yes, ma'am.
सर्वेन्द्रिया गुणाभासं सर्वेन्द्रिया विवर्जितम् आशक्तं सर्ववृच्छैव निर्गुणं गुणभक्त च। Back to Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else, devotees?
I can try to. Sarvendriyo gunabhasham sarvendriyo vivarjitam asaktam sarvabhicchaivo nirgunam gunabhoktricha. That was Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Anyone else would like to try, devotees?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam.
Yeah, please, Mataji.
Sarvendriya Gunabhasham Sarvendriya Vivarjitam Asaktam Sarva Prachaiva Nirgunam Gunabhoktarcha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So let's read the synonyms and translation, devotees. Anyone would like to read?
Yeah, I can read it.
Yeah, please.
Sarva of all, Indriya senses, Guna of the qualities, Abhasam the original source, Sarva all, Indriya senses, Vivarjitam being without, Asaktam without attachment, Sarva Bert. How do you pronounce this last?
Yeah, Sarva Brutcha.
Brit, Sarva Britcha. The maintainer of everyone. Eva certainly. Nirgunam without material qualities. Guna Bhaktor, master of the gunas. The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached. Although he is the maintainer of all living beings, he transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time he is the master of all the modes of material nature.
Yeah. Thank you, Kushru. Would you like to read the first paragraph?
Yeah, sure. The Supreme Lord, although the source of all the senses of the living entities, doesn't have material senses like they have. Actually, the individual souls have spiritual senses, but in conditioned life, they are covered with the material elements. and therefore the sense activities are exhibited through matter. The Supreme Lord's senses are not so covered. His senses are transcendental and are therefore called nirguna. Guna means the material modes, but his senses are without material covering. It should be understood that his senses are not exactly like ours. Although he is a source of all of our sensory activities, he has his transcendental senses, which are uncontaminated. This is very nicely explained in the Sveta Svatara Upanishad 3.19 in the verse Apani Pado Javano Grahita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no hands which are materially contaminated, but he has his hands and accepts whatever sacrifice is offered to him. That is the distinction between the conditioned soul and the super soul. He has no material eyes, but he has eyes. Otherwise, how could he see? He sees everything, past, present, and future. He lives within the heart of the living being, and he knows what we have done in the past, what we are doing now, and what is awaiting us in the future. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. He knows everything, but no one knows him. It is said that the Supreme Lord has no legs like us, but he can travel through space because he has spiritual legs. In other words, the Lord is not impersonal. He has his eyes, legs, hands, and everything else. And because we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, we also have these things. But his hands, legs, eyes, and senses are not contaminated by material nature.
Thank you. Thank you, Ghosh Prabhu. Anyone else would like to read second paragraph, devotees?
Hare Krishna. Then I can.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Bhagavad Gita also confirms that when the Lord appears, he appears as he is by his internal potency. He is not contaminated by the material energy because he is the Lord of material energy. In the Vedic literature, we find that his whole embodiment is spiritual. He has his eternal form called Satchitananda Vigraha. He is full of all opulence. He is the proprietor of all wealth and the owner of all energy. He is the most intelligent and is full of knowledge. These are some of the symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the maintainer of all living entities and the witness of all activity. As far as we can understand from Vedic literature, the Supreme Lord is always transcendental, although we do not see his head, face, hands, or legs. He has them, and when we are elevated to the transcendental situation, we can see the Lord's form. Due to materially contaminated senses, we cannot see his form. Therefore, the impersonalists who are still materially affected cannot understand the personality of Godhead. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Then.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So I'm just checking if we can just read 16 also, and then we'll discuss together. So we'll just read 16, one paragraph purport, and then we'll discuss together. Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha sukshmatvat tad avegnyeyam dhurastam cha antika cha tat. So let's see if we can actually read this verse and then together we'll discuss. Anyone else would like to recite, devotees?
I can try, Prabhuji. Bhairantasya bhutanam acharam charamevacha sukhata tat abhigyayam durastam chantike cha tat. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Anyone else, devotees?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
16. बहिरन्तश्च भूतानाम् आचरं चरम् एव च सूक्ष्माद्वत् तद् अवीयनं दूरस्थं चन्तिके च तत्. Back to Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Any one more person would like to recite? Yeah.
I can also try, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
बहिरन्तश्च भूतानाम् आचरं चरमेव च सूक्ष्मवत्तदज्ञेयं दूरस्थं चान्तिके च तत्. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, let's read the synonyms and translation, devotees. Anyone would like to read synonyms and translation?
Of the synonyms. Bahi, outside. Anta, inside. Cha, also. Bhutanam, of all living entities. Akaram, not moving. Karam, moving. Eva, also. Ka, and. Suksmatvat, on account of being subtle. Tat, that. Avenyam, unknowable. Durashtam, far away. Cha, also. Antike, near. Cha, and. Tat, that. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So since this is pronounced as cha, this is actually acharam and charam, like just to let you know. So anytime we have C, it's always cha in this Sanskrit. So let's read one paragraph per devotees. Anyone else would like to read one paragraph per foot?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I can
Yes,
read.
Mataji, please.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In Vedic literature, we understand that Narayana, the Supreme Person, is residing both outside and inside of every living entity. He is present in both the spiritual and material worlds. Although he is far, far away, still he is near to us. These are the statements of Vedic literature. Asino duram vrajati shayano yati sarvatah. Kata Upanishad 1.2.21. And because he is always engaged in transcendental bliss, we cannot understand how he is enjoying his full opulence. We cannot see or understand with these material senses. Therefore, in the Vedic language, it is said that to understand him, our material mind and senses cannot act. But one who has purified his mind and senses by practicing Krishna consciousness in devotional service can see him constantly. It is confirmed in Brahma Samhita that the devotee who has developed love for the Supreme God can see him always without cessation. And it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 11.54 that he can be seen and understood only by devotional service. Bhaktya tva ananyaya shakyaha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Dara Mataji. Any thoughts you'd like to share based on this?
I think other really just to summarize, it's it's just I think Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada is saying here that like basically a devotee who practices devotional service is the one who can um, feel the presence of Krishna, because we have material senses, so that limits us, and you know in how much in being able to actually see the Lord. But yeah, Prabhuji, that's all I got right now. But please, I would love to learn from you more about these two verses.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. I was going to share the same thing, but there is a subtle science behind this. But in a loving aspect, that is all we can actually say, right? So I was just going through this AI. There is AI everywhere now, artificial intelligence. So in the AI world, the face, and the speech is protected, right? Through AI, it's protected. Anybody's face and anybody's voice, you cannot actually use it. So um, just the face and speech itself is so powerful that people think that if you imitate, you can become very powerful. So imagine a Supreme Lord. I mean, how much power he has that actually carried so much weightage. I was just thinking about that fact. So anytime, like when we hear some voice, we can imagine the person right next to us and then feel okay. So and so person, automatically our feelings and emotions come out. If the person is very aggressive, we kind of become scared. If the person is very, very soft and motherly nature, we feel that. So the babies also, like when they hear the mother's voice, they have this sensory perceptions that they naturally just feel a little bit of comfort and see that mother is around. So this is the energy, right? Obviously, the voice is one of the energies of Krishna. So like that, in this verse, as we are seeing this Sarvendriya Gunabhyasham. So in this verse, Krishna's energies are being described. These are spiritual energies. These are not material energies. These are completely spiritual, and Krishna is basically saying them in a way that we can understand. So sometimes, in order to make us understand, there has to be some conflicting things. Here also, Krishna is basically saying conflicting things just to make us understand what he really is. So in the Isha Upanishad also there are some verses. Sorry. So in the Isha Upanishad also there are some verses, that is Sveteshwara Upanishad. There are some verses that actually says that Apani Pado Javani Grahito, the Lord has actually hands, but at the same time he has no material hands. Like that, it's conflicting, because to make us understand that what is material, what is spiritual, sometimes it has to be said like that. So so here in this chapter, Krishna is trying to explain Arjuna several questions that Arjuna asked, right? So Arjuna is asking in the beginning several questions. So one of the questions that Arjuna is asking is, what is knowledge? What is the object of knowledge? So in this world, one time Prabhupada was asked a question by a reporter. You say that you know everything. Do you know how many windows are there in the New York, the tallest building, the so-called tallest building, towers? Do you know how many windows are there? And Prabhupada was like, how many Miraji is there in the desert? And he was basically saying that. So in a way that he's saying that is all illusion, it's not really a knowledge. The knowledge means to know Krishna, right? So that is real knowledge. So from that perspective, by knowing Krishna, we come to the real knowledge, and then we also get to know the illusory part of also, like because when Vyasudeva was meditating on Krishna, so when Krishna manifested, appeared in front of him, just before, behind Krishna, there is also Maya Devi just standing, very humble and shy. She was just standing right, beside Krishna. So she's actually called Chaya, I mean shadow. So Krishna and Maya is always side by side, because Maya is not different from Krishna in a way, because that's also Krishna's energy. Krishna's representative. Right, when the Lord stands, the Maya Devi also stands beside. Similarly, when you see the president of the country stands, beside him, there are a lot of cops, police officers also standing, right? Not only police officers, the highest rank officers from army, navy, everybody stands there, the chief of military, all that very powerful people, they stand along with him because they're all basically employed by him. He chooses his own cabinet, so they all actually serve him. So similarly, Lord being the powerful personality, he also, have all the powerful personalities surrounded by him. So here, knowing Krishna is actually the knowledge. So now Krishna in the 13th verse, he started to explain that actually what is Brahman? Brahman is that spirit which is beginningless, which is subordinate, and it is everywhere in the cosmic manifestation. So, and then in the 14th verse, Krishna started explaining that actually it is everywhere, just like Lord Krishna is spread everywhere, and he has his ears and eyes and hands everywhere. So that is the super soul is all pervading. So Krishna started explaining. Why is Krishna saying all this? Because Arjuna asked a question, what is knowledge? So knowing what is knowledge and what is knowable, and so from that perspective, Krishna is expanding on the topic of real knowledge is about knowing the Lord, who is present everywhere. So and then now in the 15th verse, Krishna is expanding further, saying that how the super soul is existing everywhere, and it is the origin of all senses, right? So and then sarve indriya guna bhasham sarve indriya vivarjitam. So the word vivarjitam means he is unattached, he is not attached. And then abhasham is the original of all the source, and he is also indriya means senses, right? So he is the origin of all senses, yet he is actually without senses. So this particular word, right, he is without senses. So the word nirguna is used in Sanskrit in many places. So nirguna, guna means either modes, or we can also say senses, right? So nirguna in this case is actually the master of all the modes, guna bhoktar, like master of all the gunas, but he is nirguna, he is without the material modes. So this is like two conflicting things. He is actually the source of senses, but he is without senses. He is the master of the modes, but he is actually without the modes. He is actually beyond the modes. He is transcendental, right? So these two are conflicting things that are mentioned here. And also, he is basically maintaining all living entities, but he is unattached. This is also kind of, if you have to do something, you have to be attached in the material world. That's how we are learned. Like if you have to do something, you have to be completely attached in doing it. So although he is maintaining all the living entities, he is completely unattached. So there are three things mentioned here which are exactly opposite. So we'll try to understand from a spiritual perspective what is being said. So in the Brahma Samhita, there is one verse. It says, Angani yashya sakalendriya vrittimanti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti ananda chinmaya angani yashya sakalendriya vrittimanti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti. I'm forgetting the verse. So in this verse, basically what Brahmaji says, Angani yashya sakala indriya, like in the Lord, all of the senses can do any of the senses work. So, for example, when the Lord is seeing, he can actually create through his eyes. So basically that is how he creates. He looks at the Pradhan, and the Pradhan gets agitated. All of the living entities are given material bodies, and then they manifest in the material world. So by looking, Lord is actually doing the procreation, he's creating it. So like that, his seeing is actually very powerful, as good as creating something. So like that, in the Bible also, there is a verse saying that there shall be earth, and the earth manifested. So the Lord, by his power of saying, it just manifested. So like that, the Lord's saying is non different from creating. So when we offer boga in front of Lord Krishna, when we say the mantras, where when the Lord actually just bestows his mercy, he sees that plus the boga plate, he can actually transform that into prashadam, like mercy. So but just by looking at it, Lord can actually transform. He can eat. He can actually accept that offering and he can eat. So he has the senses which are interchangeable. So in a way, like Prabhupada used to say that this eyes is actually just two holes. But the actual eyes is within the person. When we are seeing through these holes, these are material eyes that are actually an instrument for the person to perceive. But the actual senses, real senses, are within the soul itself. You know. So it's very difficult to understand because all we actually see is through this eyes. When we cover, we cannot see. But then when we see blind people, they also have perception of colors. They have also perception of things, how it has to look, form. When the blind people see, they will actually touch you, and then they will feel your form, and they will kind of imagine a form. Even though there is no eyes, there is something that they want to perceive in the form. So there is something that is being perceived inside. So like that, there are spiritual senses which are inside, and the material senses are enabling in this material world for us to do things. All the five senses are active. So, but Krishna being fully spiritual, he has spiritual senses, and he does not have any material senses. But his spiritual senses are unlimitedly powerful. So we also have spiritual senses, but are very limited. So the Krishna is Vibhu and we are Anu, like very minute. So like that, Krishna's energies are very powerful. So in the Isha Upanishad, uh, the verse number 19 also, it is mentioned. I'll just read this verse. Just Prabhupada is also quoting here. Let's see. Panipado Javano Rahita Pashyati Achakshu Sas Shinoti Akarna Sa Vetti Vedhyam Nacha Tashyasti Vetha. So without legs and hands, he moves and accepts. Without eyes, he sees, and without ears, he hears. He hears. He knows all that is noble, but no one knows him. They call him the original supreme person. So, so this is the verse that Sveteshwara Upanishad that Prabhupada is quoting in the purport. So we can see that the Lord, he, like I was saying, the offering that we offer, the boga, the Lord accepts. So he can accept just by hearing our prayers. Also, he can accept by seeing the prasad, the boga plate. He can accept. So like that, there are many ways the Lord can perform the same thing that we do. He is very powerful. So even though we say the Lord is in the spiritual world in the Vaikuntha planets, how is he can actually, his hands and legs are everywhere. So he can actually accept anything from anywhere. So that is again another way of understanding. So the spiritual and material is like sometimes Prabhupada used to explain like this. So like when we take an object, material, you tear into pieces. At the end, there is nothing. So, but in the spiritual, how many expansions it comes out from spiritual, still the original source is intact. That is spiritual. So we have some, even the material science, they have some information about this kind of energy which is which kind of doesn't dissipate, right? Like they say the sun is such kind of energy which doesn't dissipate. So even though it's creating so much extreme temperature, still the energy is very intact. So in the material world, everything, every source of we say it's exhaustive, like it can run out. So everything is limited in the material. That's why we have to conserve the energy, right? But anyone knows that they are trying to extract energy from nature, the wind energy or solar energy. They consider that to be unlimited, right? So it is getting replenished automatically. So spiritual energy is much higher than that. So it is something that is energy is very much intact, and it can actually have all the perception of senses also. Like, so all the perception of seeing, touching, smelling, and hearing, all of that is within that sensory perceptions. So that is what Krishna is trying to explain. So the Lord has two aspects. He has the impersonal aspect and he has the personal aspect. And his personal aspect is very much shown in the pastimes. When in Krishna's pastimes, his personal aspect is very much shown. So between these two aspects, he actually gives more importance to his personal aspect. His dealings with his devotees, he gives more importance and more weightage. So in the impersonal aspect is also important, but then Lord Krishna, when it comes to personal impersonal aspect, he doesn't really give that much importance. How he manages the whole creation, how he expands everywhere. So he's Krishna in a way is trying to explain that impersonal aspect and the personal aspect together in this verses, right? So he doesn't have hands, but he can reach anywhere. He doesn't have eyes, but he can see everything. This is like personal aspect and impersonal aspect. Both Krishna is trying to explain in these verses. And then Prabhupada is explaining that how Bhagavad Gita is confirming that Lord, he appears by his internal potency, his Yogamaya potency. So he is not contaminated by material energy. So that is why when Lord Krishna, appears, so in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that when Lord Krishna appeared, he actually appeared in the mind of Vasudev, and then from mind of Vasudev, he entered into the mind of Devaki. From mind of Devaki, he entered into her heart, and then he appeared in front of Mother Devaki in the four-handed form. So his Lord is not conceived just like we conceive a child, right? So he's completely spiritual. So whenever Lord appears, he appeared is in the mind, first mind of a devotee, and then he enters into the heart, and through that he appears. So like that. When the Lord appears, he's fully spiritual. He's as a baby Krishna, he's 100% God. As Yashoda Nandan also is 100% God. As the gopis, Krishna, in is playing with the gopis, he's also 100% God. So the God, surprisingly, Krishna doesn't grow up beyond 16 years. He's always the fresh bloomed youth. So he doesn't grow beyond that. So like that, Krishna manifests. He is completely spiritual. So that in the Prabhupada also quoting that particular Satchit Ananda Vigraha. This is like the every soul is Satchitananda, but then we are very minute. Krishna is called Vigraha, means he has a full form that he can manifest in front of us, which is fully spiritual. So like that, whenever Lord is addressed, he's the word Vigraha. You can see that he's just like the deity form. He can actually come in front of us. So if you go to Jagannath Puri, so there is a Tota Gopinath Mandir right close to the ocean. So from Jagannath Temple, if you walk a little bit close to the ocean, there's the Tota Gopinath Mandir, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also he performed a leela. He merged into the deities in one of his pastimes. So that that actually that deity is like a human size, tall, very beautiful deity. If you look at that deity, you can actually see the Krishna just standing in a Tribanga form, very beautiful form. So just like that, the Lord actually can stand in front of us, and he is completely spiritual. He doesn't have any material qualities. So when in this verse also there is one thing that is mentioned, the material qualities and material modes, right? So the material modes, when it says it's sattva, rajas, and tamas, right? So the sattva, rajas, and tamas, just like we have qualities. For example, we can say, oh, this person is very soft. This person we say is very sweet person. This person, when we see somebody, we just describe them as very sweet, very soft, or very very cunning or very energetic. We say something that is appreciative of that person, right? Something that recognizes that person. So like that, the passion, ignorance, and goodness. This is how we can actually define in the material, the whole prakriti, whole material world, material nature. So the whole material nature, it has three modes that actually works. The nature works by these three modes, which influences the human beings. But these modes doesn't influence the Lord, because the Lord is always above these modes. So that is why he is called Nirguna, meaning he's above these three modes of nature. He doesn't influence. So when we see some movies, very passionate movies, we will get influenced. When we see some sattvic movies, we also, sometimes people cry in the theaters. They get influenced, they become very soft. So like that, but the Lord is always above these modes. He is the controller of these modes. He'll never get influenced. So that is why he is called Nirguna. And he's also here in the verse number 16. The Lord is, he's said here, Bahir Antascha Bhutanam. So Bhutana means living entities. So he's inside as well as he is existing outside, right? So inside, he is there as Paramatma. In outside, he is actually as witness. He is all the Panchabhutas witness. He is actually seeing us through the Panchabhutas. He's seeing us through sun and moon. So like that, he is existing outside in every atom and inside also through Paramatma. And both moving and non-moving, chara, acharam. So the moving, there are many things we see, the Prakriti that is moving, and there are many things like mountains, non-moving things. So Lord is present in everywhere. So Yekochi Acho Rachayitam Jagadanda Kotim, like even the Paramanu, like it's called the atom, even the Paramanu also, Brahma says Lord Krishna is there. Ekopchi Acho Rachayitam Jagadanda Kotim Yachakti Jagadanda Chayadadanta Andantrastu Paramanu Chayantrastam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So that Paramanu also, the Lord is there. That is the smallest particle in the whole creation. So and then it is said that he is beyond the power of our seeing power. So the word used here, sukshmatvat, sukshma means very subtle, and then the exact opposite of that is gross. So gross and subtle. Gross is something we can see. Sukshma is something we cannot see. We can only feel. So that's why there was one joke I saw a long time back, right? Just this person, the professor explaining to the children that actually there is nothing called God. The child asks, "How can you say like that? I cannot see him." And then the child says, "I also cannot see your intelligence. You are not intelligent." So the professor is little bit he's thinking. So like that, what we cannot see, we can perceive, right? So similarly, we can say that everyone has different kind of IQs. We cannot see that, but we can only perceive. So like that, Lord is beyond our sense perception, but we can feel him. We can actually feel him. So that is why when we say self-realization, right? So we have to actually realize we have to feel the self in order to understand Krishna. Nobody can actually just teach you about God. They can actually help you to do it yourself. That's why when we in the Krishna consciousness, we help them to chant Hare Krishna mantra. We help them to hear Krishna Bhagavad Gita. When they hear Bhagavad Gita, they have to think themselves. Is how is it? They have to think and they have to realize themselves. So it's not something that comes from outside, but when we use our senses to hear these transcendental topics, Krishna, who is within, he will actually reveal ourselves. So that is why it's called in Christian world also. It's called they have this word revelation, right? So it is something that has to be revealed inside, but we can put the effort to give us that revelation can come from inside. So in the Katha Upanishad, Prabhupada also mentioning one particular verse in the Katha Upanishad. So he's saying that how the Lord, he's always engaged in the transcendental bliss. He's always in full opulence. So whenever Krishna does some pastime in Vrindavan, in Mathura, he's not doing it for a purpose, to achieve something. He's trying to enjoy every activity he does is just basically to invoke transcendental bliss between himself and his devotees. Right? There is no motivation involved behind. So even like sometimes devotees ask Krishna that if everything is predestined, then what is the purpose of life? But Prabhupada used to say that it is predestined. At the same time, Krishna gives the independence. It is it is like conflicting, but that is the fact. So sometimes they ask if what would have happened if Ravana would have changed his mind. Because as soon as Vibhishan surrendered, the Ravana, Lord Rama gave the Lanka to Vibhishan. He coronated him to be the king of Lanka. And then somebody asked, what if Ravana changed his mind? Rama would have given Ayodhya to Ravana, right? So like that, the Lord's plans is very dynamic. We think it's very static, but his plans are very dynamic. Every moment, if we change, his plans also change according to that. So like that, so even everything that Krishna does is to increase this transcendental bliss, and that we cannot understand through our material senses. So Prabhupada one time when he was explaining Vrindavan pastime, he said, you see Nanda Maharaj is taking a girl baby to Gokul, and then she's putting the girl baby there, and then he's putting a boy baby there, and then he's taking Krishna, the boy baby from there, and then no, I'm sorry, Krishna is putting Krishna, and then he's bringing a girl baby who is Yogamaya herself, and then he's bringing her to the prison, and then from our material thoughts we can see that he is very selfish. He wants to protect his child, and he wants to just compromise the Nanda Maharaj child. This is a material vision, right? So we will misunderstand if we look Krishna through our material vision, but the real understanding is he is completely under the influence of Yogamaya, and he is the jail locks automatically opened, and then when he was passing the Yamuna river actually gives way to him to pass through. Everything is carried out by the Yogamaya for the pleasure of the Lord, right? So all the pastimes, the Lord wanted to grow and give pleasure to Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. At the same time, the Yogamaya Mother Durga wanted to actually appear and also take part in this Leela. So that is what actually happened. But from our material eyes, if you look at, we don't really understand anything. So that is the difference between the real understanding and the seeing through our material vision, right? So finally, in the Brahma Samhita, that Prabhupada is just concluding that we can see the Lord through our developed love. So there is a verse called Prema Anjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santas Sadaiva Hrudayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Shundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So by the love we can actually see the Lord, So that is why Prabhupada used to give the example. He used to show the shoes and then ask, "What is this?" Somebody said, "No, this is just slippers." No, no, actually, this is my child's slippers, my baby slippers. A mother can actually see like that, but for us, it is just slippers, right? So like that, when we see something, we can relate it with a person when we have that love. So similarly, anyone who has love for Krishna, they can understand him through that love as a medium. It's just a medium to understand Krishna. So we are not sentimental people, but we have a lot of reasoning behind. But then we want to go beyond this, the reasoning, and enjoy a loving relationship with Krishna. That is the real object, right? So otherwise, intelligence alone cannot satisfy, cannot give us a lot of happiness, right? So that is what the devotees are doing intelligently. So that's why Krishna also says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. So through bhakti, ananya sakaya, through bhakti, we can understand Krishna. Right? So that is the conclusion that Prabhupada is making here in this statement. Hare Krishna. I think I went beyond. It's already 8:53. Let's see if there are any discussions, devotees. Yeah, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanuvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji very nicely explained about the transcendental quality of Lord Krishna, and he is situated in every atom and all the living entities' heart as a super soul. And Prabhuji, also we are the living entities, and we are influenced by three gunas, Satya, Rajas, and Tamas, and because of that, we are not able to know Krishna properly, and we are also influenced by Maya. And Prabhuji, I just have a question. When you talked about the Maya, that Krishna and Maya are always together, you're talking about the Mahamaya, not Yogamaya, right, Prabhuji? The Yogamaya is for service of, always on the service of the Lord. And as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Krishna hoy Shurjo Shamo, Maya hoy Andhokar, Jaha Krishna taha nahi Maya Rodhikar. And that Maya is Mahamaya, right, Prabhuji? Which is not conducive for bhakti.
Both Mahamaya and Yogamaya is always under the service of Krishna. They are. That's why I said behind Krishna. So she's in the service of Krishna. Both Yogamaya also, she is always in the service of Krishna, and Mahamaya also under the service of Krishna. So when we actually try to come to Krishna, the Mahamaya releases us from her grip, and then Yogamaya accepts us into her protection. So both Mayas are actually helping us grow towards Krishna. So Mahamaya is just like they are under the service of Krishna. The police also, they're trying to explain to us, you have to follow the rules and regulations. And then sometimes the police actually, when we go to jail, they give food, they take care of us nicely. So they are, we were being a citizens of this country, they also understand that we made a mistake. Similarly, Mahamaya they are helping us, but they are helping by giving us punishment, putting into tight grip of this Maya Shakti. But the Yogamaya is completely different, exactly opposite, that to enhance Krishna's pastimes, Yogamaya is facilitating so many things. So both are actually along with Krishna only, behind Krishna, not in front of Krishna. So that's why in the Vrindavan pastime, the Yogamaya is called the forgetting the name.
Yes, I also forgetting the name. And a senior lady.
Yes.
Purnamashi.
Purnamashi. Yes. Right. So like that, always with Krishna only, they're helping the pastimes of Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji. So Mahaprabhu says that Jaha Krishna taha nai Mahayar Udhikar.
Adhikar, yeah, control. Because Krishna is in control.
Krishna is in control. Okay.
Right.
Okay,
See, when Krishna is in control, that's why I said in front of president, a police will not chastise others, right?
okay,
So
okay.
because boss is there, he will chastise like that. So like that, Krishna is in control. So that is why the Maya's energy, unless Krishna orders, it's like that. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for clarifying this. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Any other thoughts, devotees?
Prabhuji, you are talking about the senses and sense perception. So the perception through the senses, actually, when you see the creation of the universe, as per Bhagavatam, the perception comes from the ahankar, but from Shakti guna. But senses are coming from ahankar, but Rajasic guna. So though we perceive through the senses, but perception comes Shakti guna, but our senses comes from Rajasic guna. So totally different, but working for the same purpose.
So perception from sattvic and senses from rajasic guna, you say.
Rajasic guna, yeah. And our subtle elements and the fine elements, those are coming from the tamasic guna.
Tamasic, okay, I understand actually now what you're trying. Okay. So the subtle elements, ahankar is very subtle, the ego is very subtle, and also intelligence, mind is very subtle, right? So we actually, okay, it's an expansion of a subtle element, ahankar, intelligence. But I don't know if it's connected with the tamo guna though. I'm not sure.
So actually, I was telling not subtle. It should be like first is the subtle elements, and other is next is what is that subtle element? Then karmendriya, ganendriya in between.
Karmendriya, Jnanendriya.
Subtle elements and gross. One is gross. Sorry, gross. So gross and subtle elements. I'm talking about that.
Okay.
So gross are coming from tamasic, intelligence coming from rajasic, but perception coming from sattvic.
So the consciousness, right? The consciousness, the perception, right? So which is, in the creation part, we actually see that in detail. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, devotees. Anyone else would like to share anything, devotees?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, wonderfully explained, Prabhuji. Thank you. So as we were discussing, the Lord, explains that the whole embodiment of, whole his, body itself is spiritual, full of opulences, right? Most, that's why, does not have any material senses like ours. Everything is, the Lord is not impersonal, but definitely has spiritual senses. That's why, as you mentioned, when he sees the boga, he can eat with his, they are interchangeable. And as Prabhuji said, because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of this material senses, material mind and senses. With our limited senses, impersonal senses, we cannot understand him. Only when we surrender with faith, we can understand. And it also describes that Supreme Soul appeared divided, but it is actually situated as one. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Subal Prabhuji. In the Kali Yuga, I think between the 70s and now, this people have actually lost so much faith in religion, because a lot of the religion, they go by faith, just blind faith without reasoning. So I think that's where we have to set some. So the Vedic knowledge always have some reasoning behind. Like so many questions Arjuna is asking, and there is a reasoning behind explanation. This is what is lacking in the common discussions. Every religion, they have something good. They try to bring people towards good, But then without the essence, they lose the whole focus and then everything becomes hocus pocus. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Any other thoughts, final thoughts, devotees? Kush Prabhu, anything you would like to share? Final.
No, I forgot actually. I had something, I was eating dinner and I was thinking about it, but then I forgot
Yeah,
to
it's
bring
okay.
it
It'll
up.
come back to you later on.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll conclude today's session, devotees. Thank you all for joining. Vancha kalpatrubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.